Good morning, and today is the 21st of July 2026, and this is the Defense Report's Wires Brief, your daily roundup of the latest defense, intelligence, and international security news. I'm Stuart Webb, and here are today's top stories. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi claims that there was a security breach which led to the February 28 strike that killed former Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Araghchi also claims that the security breach was at the highest levels of power and probably still exists. The U.S. carried out its 10th consecutive night of strikes on Iran. Bahrain's military stated that it intercepted several Iranian attacks. Iranian state broadcaster claims that Iran's armed forces launched missile and drone attacks on 11 U.S. bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan over the past 24 hours. Iranian attacks hit several power generation and water desalination plants for a fourth consecutive day in Kuwait. Kuwait, like many Middle Eastern countries, rely on desalination plants for drinking water. U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth will face U.S. senators today as the Pentagon claims that nearly 100 troops have been injured in the past 2 weeks. Moving to Ukraine, protests continue in Ukraine over the dismissal of Defense Minister Fedorov, while Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky remains in place. According to sources, Fedorov was offered a role that focused on military technology and military modernization, but declined and insisted on being reinstated as Defense Minister. Botswana is the latest African country that claims its citizens are being recruited to fight for Russia's war in Ukraine. The Botswana Foreign Ministry claims it has received calls from the citizens saying that they're tricked into going to Russia and then forced into combat. In Yemen, the Houthi rebels announced a maritime embargo against Saudi Arabia. This is in retaliation for a Saudi blockade of its ports and airports in Houthi-controlled northwestern Yemen. A Houthi spokesman claimed that they were closing the Bab el-Mandeb Strait to Saudi vessels. This is not in retaliation for the U.S. war with Iran, but the recent strikes on a Yemeni airport. In Lebanon, the Lebanese army was deployed to another southern village as part of the Pilot Zone initiative. Under a U.S.-mediated framework, the Lebanese army will reassert its presence in the south as Israel makes a phased withdrawal from the country. Of course, this is all predicated on the Lebanese army's ability to secure these areas from Hezbollah. The U.S. State Department alleges that Cuba has infiltrated the highest levels of government through a decades-long espionage campaign. The 100-page report provides examples of few infiltrators, such as Victor Manuel Rocha, who was a U.S. ambassador to Bolivia and advisor to the commander of the U.S. Southern Command. The report says the infiltrators were recruited while attending U.S. universities. In Afghanistan, 3 days after the Yaftal district was briefly seized, the Taliban are making changes to the leadership, police commands, and intelligence offices across several districts of Badakhshan. The changes also come during escalating internal issues in Badakhshan as the Taliban wrangle power from local authorities. Babcock Canada has been awarded a 6-year contract to maintain the Victoria-class submarine fleet. For the past 18 years, Babcock has provided in-service support for the submarines. Babcock also says that their work has provided $3.2 billion to the Canadian economy, maintained more than 1,500 jobs annually, and have built a Canadian supply chain with over 450 suppliers. If chosen to provide in-service support for Canada's new submarines, Babcock says it will take measures to ensure its personnel are trained and prepared for the task. This concludes today's Defense Report's Wires Brief. Thank you much for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, tell others, and leave a comment. It does help others find us. Thank you, and have a good day.